Nice that you looking at. Love Story. Don't forget to subscribe. Love Story is a song by the American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift. It was released as the lead single from her second studio album, Fearless, on September 15, 2008, by Big Machine Records. Inspired by a boy who was unpopular with her family and friends. Swift wrote the song using William Shakespeare's tragedy Romeo and Juliet as a reference point. The lyrics narrate a troubled romance that ends with a marriage proposal. Contrary to Shakespeare's tragic conclusion. Produced by Swift and Nathan Chapman, the mid-tempo country pop song includes a key change after the bridge and uses acoustic instruments including banjo, fiddle, mandolin, and guitar. At the time of the song's release, music critics praised the production but deemed the literary references ineffective. In retrospect, critics have considered it one of Swift's best singles. Love Story peaked atop the chart in Australia, where it was certified 14 times platinum by the Australian Recording Industry Association, ARIA, and reached the top 5 on charts in Canada, Ireland, Japan, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. In the United States, the single peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was the first country song to reach number 1 on Pop Songs. The Recording Industry Association of America certified it 8 times platinum. Love Story has sold over 6 million copies in the United States and 18 million copies worldwide. Trey Fanjoy directed the accompanying music video, which stars Swift and Justin Gaston as lovers in a prior era, drawing from historical periods such as the Renaissance and the Regency era. It won Video of the Year at both the Country Music Association Awards and CMT Music Awards in 2009. The song became a staple in Swift's live concerts and has been a part of the set lists in all of her headlining tours from the Fearless Tour, 2009-2010, to the Eras Tour, 2023-2024. Following a 2019 dispute regarding the ownership of Swift's back catalog, she re-recorded the song and released it as Love Story, Taylor's version, in February 2021. The track topped the Hot Country Songs chart and made Swift the second artist after Dolly Parton to top that chart with both the original and re-recorded versions of a song. Taylor Swift moved from Pennsylvania to Nashville, Tennessee, in 2004 to pursue a career as a country singer-songwriter, and in 2006, she released her first album Taylor Swift at 16 years old. The album spent more weeks on the US Billboard 200 chart than any other album that was released in the 2000s decade. Taylor Swift's third single, Our Song, made Swift the youngest person to single-handedly write and sing a Hot Country Songs #1 single. Her success was rare for a female teenage artist. The 2000s country music market had been dominated by adult male musicians. While promoting her debut album on tour in 2007 and 2008, Swift wrote songs for her second studio album Fearless. She developed Love Story late into the production of Fearless, answering fan questions on time in April 2009. Swift said the song was inspired by a boy whom she never dated and was one of the most romantic pieces she had written. Swift recalled the reactions she received after introducing him to her family and friends. All said they didn't like him. All of them. This made Swift relate to the narrative of William Shakespeare's 16th-century play Romeo and Juliet, which she described as a situation where the only people who wanted them to be together were them. Reflecting on the event, Swift thought, "This is difficult but it's real, it matters." She developed the second refrain and later the whole song around that line. Although inspired by Romeo and Juliet, Swift felt the play could have been the best love story ever told. had it not been for Shakespeare's tragic ending in which the two characters die. She thus made the narrative of Love Story conclude with a marriage proposal, which she deemed a happy ending the characters deserved. Swift wrote Love Story on her bedroom floor in approximately 20 minutes, feeling too inspired to put the song down unfinished. According to Swift, the song represents her optimistic outlook on love, which is inspired by her childhood fascination with fairy tales. Looking back on Love Story, after she released her seventh studio album Lover, 2019, which is about her first experience of love that was very real, Swift said the track is stuff I saw on a movie, stuff I read mixed in with some like crush stuff that had happened in my life. After finishing writing, Swift recorded a rough demo of Love Story within 15 minutes the next day. She recorded the song's album version in March 2008 with the producer Nathan Chapman at Blackbird Studio in Nashville. For her vocals, Chapman tried different microphones until Swift came across an Avantone CV-12 multi-pattern tube microphone that was built by the country music artist Ray Kennedy, with whom she worked on Taylor Swift. After growing fond of the Avantone CV-12 upon testing her vocals, Swift used it to record Love Story and other songs. She sang the song live backed by her band, who were playing acoustic guitar, bass guitar, and drums. Chapman played other instruments, including 9 acoustic guitars, and he overdubbed them on the track. He also recorded background vocals. The engineer Chad Carlson recorded the track using Pro Tools and Justin Niebank mixed it using a solid-state Logic 9080K series console and Genelec 1032 studio monitors. Drew Bolman and Richard Edgeler assisted in the mixing process. Love Story, along with the rest of Fearless, was mastered by Hank Williams at Master Mix Studios in Nashville. The track uses country music instruments such as banjo and fiddle. Big Machine Records released it to U.S. country radio as Fearless's lead single on September 15, 2008. Chapman mixed another version of Love Story for pop radio. He edited Niebank's mix using Apple Logic and muted the acoustic instruments such as banjo and fiddle. The pop radio version has an opening beat that was generated using Apple Logic's Ultrabeat, and the electric guitars were created with Amplitude Stomp IO. Rolling Stone's Keith Harris described the electric guitars as suitably gargantuan and louder than those on the country radio version. Big Machine, in partnership with Republic Records, released Love Story to U.S. pop radio on October 14, 2008. In the United Kingdom, Love Story was released on March 2, 2009, a week prior to the release of Fearless. Music Week reported that this edition was remixed for European ears. Love Story is a mid-tempo country pop song that is driven by acoustic instruments including banjo, fiddle, mandolin, and guitar. John Bream from the Star Tribune described the single as pure pop with a minimalist vibe that suits both country and pop radio. According to the New York Times, despite the banjo and fiddle, the song could easily be an emo rocker. Swift's vocals have a slight twang. The mix and master, according to Billboard's Kristen He, are loud and dynamically flat, designed to burst out of FM radio speakers. The lyrics of Love Story narrate a troubled romance between two characters, drawing from the lead characters in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. According to the psychologist Katie Barclay, the song explores feelings of love in the contexts of pain and joy. Love Story, save for the final refrain, is narrated from Juliet's perspective. In the verses, Juliet tells the story of hers and Romeo's challenged courtship, of which her father disapproves. The first verse introduces Juliet in a scene We were both young when I first saw you. I close my eyes and the flashback starts. I'm standing there, on a balcony in summer air. Which references the balcony scene in Act 2, Scene II of Shakespeare's play. In the refrains, which alter slightly as the song progresses to accompany the narrative. Juliet pleads for her love interest to appear. Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone. I'll be waiting. All there's left to do is run. In the second verse, Juliet meets Romeo again in a garden and learns he must leave town because of her father's disapproval. Their relationship encounters difficulties. 'Cause you were Romeo, I was a scarlet letter. Referencing Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, 1850. According to the media and film scholar Iris H. Tuan, Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter imagery represents the female protagonist Hester Prynne's sin and adultery, whereas Swift's use symbolizes the forbidden love between Romeo and Juliet. Juliet pleads, "This love is difficult, but it's real," which Swift said was her favorite lyric in the song. After the bridge, with accelerated drums and the harmonization of melody and vocals, the final refrain incorporates a key change up a whole step. The final refrain is narrated from Romeo's perspective and tells of his marriage proposal to Juliet after he has sought her father's approval. "I talked to your dad. Go pick out a white dress." Whereas Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet are secretly married without their parents' approval and both commit suicide, the characters in Love Story depart from that ending. According to Tuan, by projecting her feelings and fantasy on a Romeo and Juliet-inspired narrative, Swift created a song that strongly resonates with an audience of teenage girls and young women. Deborah Evans Price of Billboard agreed but also said, "One doesn't have to be a love-struck teen to enjoy the song's emotional engagement." Blender included Love Story at number 73 on its 2008 year-end list, and the Village Voice's Paz and Jop Critics poll placed it at number 48. In Fearless reviews, many critics complimented the production. Sean Daly from the St. Petersburg Times, Rob Sheffield from Blender and Stephen Thomas Erlewine from AllMusic selected the track as an album highlight. Deborah Evans Price of Billboard praised the swirling, dreamy production and said Swift's success in the country music market could only gain momentum. Others, including the Boston Globe's James Reed and USA Today's Alyssa Gardner, deemed Love Story an example of Swift's songwriting abilities at a young age. The latter appreciated the song for earnestly portraying teenage feelings, rather than being a mouthpiece for a bunch of older pros' collective notion of adolescent yearning. Some critics were more reserved in their praise and took issue with the literary references. In a 4 stars out of 5 rating of the song for the BBC, Fraser McAlpine deemed the Shakespearean reference not as sophisticated as its premise and the lyrics generic, but he praised the production and wrote, "It's great to see a big pop song being used as a method of direct storytelling." The musicologist James E. Perrone commented, "The melodic hooks are strong enough to overcome the predictability of the lyrics." John Bream from the Star Tribune deemed the single inferior to Swift's debut country music single, Tim McGraw, 2006, but commended the production as catchy. In a Slant magazine review, Jonathan Keefe was impressed by Swift's melodic songwriting for creating massive pop hooks, but found the references to Romeo and Juliet, Point Missing, and The Scarlet Letter inexplicable. Keefe deemed the lyrics lacking in creativity and disapproved of Swift's clipped phrasing in the refrain. In retrospective commentaries, the English language professor Robert N. Watson and the music journalist Annie Zaleski deemed Love Story a memorable song thanks to its Shakespearean narrative. The former regarded it as an evidence of Swift's status as the 21st century's most popular songwriter of failed love affairs, and the latter wrote that the song deserves to be a love story for the ages. Love Story was included on Best of lists including Taste of Country's Top 100 Country Songs, 2016. Time Out's 35 Best Country Songs of All Time, 2022, and Billboard's Top 50 Country Love Songs of All Time, 2022. Critics have rated Love Story high in rankings of Swift's songs. These include Hannah Milrea from NME, 2020, who ranked it 5th out of 160 songs, Jane Song from Paste, 2020, 13th out of 158, and Nate Jones from Vulture, 2024, 11th out of 245. In another ranking of Swift's Select 100 Tracks for The Independent, Roisin O'Connor placed Love Story at number 15 and said it showcases Swift as a songwriter who understands the power of a forbidden romance. Alexis Petridis from The Guardian placed it second, behind Blank Space, 2014, on his 2019 ranking of Swift's 44 singles. He said of the literary references, the references to Shakespeare and Hawthorne seem clumsy. They are clumsy in a believably teenage way. In the United States, Love Story debuted at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 and at number 25 on the Hot Country Songs chart, both dated September 27, 2008. The next week, it reached number 5 on the Hot 100. The single peaked at number 4 on the Hot 100 chart dated January 17, 2009, and spent 49 weeks on the chart. It spent 2 weeks atop the Hot Country Songs chart. On the Pop Songs chart, which tracks US pop radio, Love Story reached number 1 on the week ending February 28, 2009. It became the first song to top both the country radio and pop radio charts and surpassed the number 3 peaking You're Still the One, 1998, by Shania Twain as the highest charting country crossover to pop radio. On other Billboard airplay charts, Love Story peaked at number 1 on adult contemporary and number 3 on adult pop songs, together with Teardrops on My Guitar, 2007. Love Story made Swift the first artist in the 2000s decade to have 2 titles each reach the top 10 of 4 airplay charts: Hot Country Songs, Pop Songs, Adult Pop Songs, and Adult Contemporary. It topped the 2009 year-end Radio Songs chart. By February 2009, it was the first country song to sell 3 million downloads. In 2015, the Recording Industry Association of America certified Love Story 8 times platinum. The single had sold 6.2 million copies in the United States by October 2022, and became Swift's highest-selling single in the nation. This is the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.